Why are there monkeys on the stream? I don't see you here. Let me change my comments. Why are there 5 monkeys on the stream? Hey, yo!
Fu Manchu had stashed between his lower lip and gum. The very hairy Houdini had been using it as a lockpick for weeks and hiding it in his old wallet. No one taught.
That's so crazy. He was hiding the lockpick the whole month. What's good, YouTube? We finally back with some more Casual Geographic. This time around, we got the potentially terrifying intelligence of the orangutan. I don't know what's about to ensue here. However, the orangutans do be smart, except for the one in office. And you know, they're usually the best character on them Planet of the Apes movies. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's popping. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Hippies don't always choose peace, but in 2014, one shocked scientist when she not only orchestrated the life canceling of another, she essentially hired a hitman to do it. The hairy honey trap was executed by a young female named Condor, and the victim was a mother 20 years older named Sidoni. Living in the swamp forests of Indonesia's Mawas Reserve, the two had beef going back all the way to 2000.
Not the orangutans,
with Condor curiously approaching Sidoni's at the time 7-year-old daughter, and Sidoni defensively smacking and biting Condor before chasing her off. The perceived insolence stuck with
stay away
Condor,
from my daughter.
but disrespect was tattooed into her psyche.
Damn.
She was not letting that slide. Years later, Condor would catch the eye of a male named Echo, and the two would eventually run into Sidoni. They both approached, and Echo seemed to inspect Sidoni, who was now jockeyed by her 4-year-old son. Echo seemed curious in the mother, before losing interest and proceeding to mate with Condor. Right in front of Sidoni. Call it passion or a power play, but either way, when Sidoni tried exiting the situation, Condor escalated, ending the lovemaking and savagely beating Sidoni. But what blew—
Wait, whoa, what you mean? So you mean to tell me Condor and Sidoni was beefing, and then, like, you know, Sidoni, like, yo, you better stay away from my daughter, started, like, beating her to keep her away from her daughter. And then we just fast forward years later, and then we got Condor and Echo sitting here, like, busting it out in the open, trying to have her watch. And when she goes away, they beating her? They beat her. They say, you finna watch this shit? You finna watch the us freaking orange monkeys go to Pound Town? What the hell is going on? What's good, Bad Welcome, man? Where your clothes at? Look, unfortunately, they were taken away from me before I even went live. But welcome in. What the hell? These freaky ass orangutan.
Researchers away was Echo going from bystander to participant. For 33 minutes, the two
33
took turns
minutes
beating on Sidoni, sometimes together, sometimes just Condor, with Echo blocking off any escape routes. It was an honest to ape jump.
They was just letting them jump her?
Meant Echo inflicted the bulk of the damage. The pair didn't stop until a fourth orang, a male named Guapo, chased Echo off and ran defense for Sidoni.
Okay, Guapo. Yo, look at big ass Guapo. He said, hey, yo, what you doing, Sidoni? He came in there. He freaking de-escalated the situation, and then they're at a reserve too. So like the fact that they was getting beat for 30 minutes and nobody knew is crazy. They didn't have nobody watching, like. But shout out to Guapo. He saved the day. Shit would not let that happen to me. Why are there monkeys on the stream? I don't see you here. Let me stop. Hi, Lunar. Welcome in. Good morning. Let me change my comments. Why are there 5 monkeys on the stream? Hey, yo. Where's this racism coming from? What are we doing here? This a family show. This a family show. What are you doing? Whoa. Told you it's always Lunar. That's what I'm saying. What kind of shit is that? You did it first? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyhow, shout out to Guapo. He saved the day. He made sure Sidoni was alright. He's like, why y'all beating on her? Mods, take her paycheck.
Before mating with her, the Orange Knight.
Wait, whoa. Run that back.
Bulk of the damage. The pair didn't stop until a fourth orang, a male named Guapo, chased Echo off and ran defense for Sidoni. before mating with her.
That is correct. He came in. He said, "You ladies, all right?" He saved her and said, all right, I'm about to. She's like, "Oh my God, thank you, Guapo." And he's like, "Hey, I got something for you now. Go ahead and thank me kindly real quick." He said he finna hit that. That is crazy. He went from defense to offense.
Orange night would be too late, as a little over 2 weeks later, Sidoni became past tense due to her injuries, and scientists were left wondering what they had just
She died 2 weeks later.
In over 26,000 hours of observation, only 6 female-on-female attacks were recorded, and none caused serious injuries. Yet here was a spiteful orang leveraging her carnal currency.
They really took her out
to erase one of her rivals, and Echo acting as a hired gun. Premeditated and personal, it was a shockingly dark look into the intelligence of the Forest Man. One that begs the question, just how smart are they, and just what could they be capable of? To say orangutans are intelligent is honestly disrespectful, cause this tree-happy ginger ape is damn near human. That is an animal that can 100% speak. They just really...
Why he look like he challenged you? Why he look like he challenging you to battle? He said, "Come on, square up." He said, "Square up."
You don't want to deal with taxes, and that's only partially a joke.
Why he looking like that?
Literally translates to man of the forest, because locals swore they were plus-size people that chose not to speak because they know then they'd have to get jobs.
Shades from?
In 2014, a court in Argentina actually granted human rights to Sandra the orangutan after 20 years of captivity. There's a cute saying that goes, if you give a chimp a screwdriver, it'll use it as a weapon. A gorilla
why they wait 20 years though?
A bonobo would become the screwdriver, but an orangutan, he'd hide it, use it to dismantle his cage, and then let all his friends out. There's a bunch of reasons for this brainy Bigfoot, and one of them is them being the biggest mama's boys on Earth. No other mammal spends more time with its mother, except humans. In the up to and often over 10 years of being her shadow, baby orangs learned everything about how to orangutan. Not only that, but daughters often live around their moms even after having their own baby. This means orangutans are one of the few animals that have a legitimate culture, and what we see is a sum of generational wisdom passed down.
They all be living with their mamas.
A notorious Sumatran male named Raucus was seen using a medicinal plant to help heal a face wound he'd gotten in a fight. The 30-something-year-old applied the chewed-up paste of the akar kuning, an anti-inflammatory, antibacterial flowering plant traditionally used to treat malaria and diabetes. Raucus applied the paste for 7 minutes until it covered his wound, and 5 days later, it was completely healed. It's not the first time we've seen animals self-medicate.
They some
Bears will
medics.
eat clay to detox from all the leaves, and elephants will apparently eat certain plants to induce labor. But what made Raucus so radical is the simple fact that they rarely eat that plant to begin with. There's more evidence of orangs self-medicating with the same plants used by locals, and it's likely this knowledge was taught, and not by humans. Mothers will even teach their young to have the same preferences for food, so that when they get older, they can forage in the same area without directly competing with all the other mother-child pairs. Another thing this citrus simian is smart enough to understand is calculated reciprocity. In this viral video, you see this man Vitaly trade snacks with a zoo orangutan. Not only did the hairy haggler refuse until he understood that he'd be getting something back, I swear you can see him check for zookeepers. If it sounds like a stretch, it's scientifically proven this untaxable entity understands the concept. Two orangutans at the Leipzig Zoo in Germany were given 3 different tokens and quickly learned that they could exchange one type for bananas for themselves. The second token type would earn bananas for the other orang, and the third type had no monetary value whatsoever. At first, the female, Doc, had no problem exchanging tokens to get the male, Bim, bananas. But Doc realized Bim wasn't really returning the favor, so she became a lot less generous. That gave Bim enough of an attitude adjustment to start trading his tokens more, until their efforts became closer to equal. There's another story of a zoo orangutan taught to exchange any trash he got in his enclosure for
they learned what currency did what.
Except he then realized if he just returned the trash in pieces, that would just mean more food for him, which was unfortunate when the trash was someone's phone, and tragic when it turned out to be a formerly alive possum. But what exactly is it that makes orangutans so smart? Well, the superpower is how they learn. When orangutans are spending all that time with their mothers, they learn everything they need to by watching and copying. Even after they leave, young males will find an older, phalangeed male to use as a role model, learning how to be an alpha male by mimicking everything he does. Mimicry is how they learn, and that learning creates cultures. It's scientifically proven when resources are good, orangs spend more time around each other and more time peering, watching, observing the other orangs. It's not just people watching, it's gathering intel, and they don't just do it to each other. Orangs regularly learn things just by watching the humans around them. This male was seen attempting to catch fish after clocking locals doing it, and one female,
Not them fishing,
tried starting a fire by dipping a glowing stick in kerosene, blowing on it, and even rubbing it with another stick. But this shadow clone jutsu can be wildly inconvenient. Camp Liki is an orangutan research and rehabilitation reserve where the Auburn apes have plenty of opportunities to study humans right back, leading to the trend of orangutans untying canoes from the dock and stealing them, and not even
stealing canoes
can discourage them. Fun fact,
and paddling that
7-hour canoe ride.
They've been escaped in the rivers.
Decided to save time with a speedboat. They lost that time after a redman stole the boat and left them stranded.
They even took a speedboat.
Perception has taught O-rings how to breastfeed, drive, and even saw wood, all from
he whipping that shit.
It said O-rings have the intelligence of a 4-year-old, but I've yet to see a toddler that did its own laundry. Now you're seeing what I'm saying. Bro's smart enough to talk, wise enough not to, and she's only sawing like that so we don't catch on. But what if I told you there's an even higher level of intelligence they can get to?
Camouflage.
Deception. Deception requires foresight and anticipating the actions or thoughts of another party. That's where intelligence can get scary. If orangutans have the capacity to trick us, we're talking about a whole different ballgame. Which brings us to the story of Fu Manchu. Now we're talking about an orangutan outsmarting humans, and it happened in the 60s in Omaha Zoo, Nebraska.
The first ones that need to die the moment we learn the apes are trying to take over.
One day, zoo director Jerry Stone was doing his rounds.
If we had a bunch of the orangutans in the movies, then they would all be chilling. But it was only few and far between. They were always goated and they end up getting killed.
Keepers ran up to him. Panicking, they told him not 1, but 5 O-rings had escaped and were roaming the zoo. This was not good. Like all apes, an O-ring outside is a code red situation, and a starting lineup of them walking amongst people was a canon event begging to happen. All it would take was a human or O-ring getting too curious for it to be a bad time for everyone, and Jerry sprinted to them before anything could happen, and he found them just chilling. Yeah, Jerry was greeted by 5 fugitives just people watching in the elm trees by the elephant building.
They just vibing.
Really, all they wanted to do was visit the zoo like everyone else. But you can't just have several hundred pounds of primate in public unsupervised. So Jerry literally went up the tree, grabbed an O-ring by the hand, and led them all back to the exhibit with no resistance. Jerry was less gentle with his staff, and let it be known that another mistake like that and someone would get pink slipped straight into unemployment. Clearly Stone made his point, because nothing like that would ever happen again. Until next week, when it happened again. Yup, somehow,
the next week,
some way, orangutan gang got out again. No one got hurt. They actually went to the exact same spot in the trees. But a troop of tangerine men exercising free will is a nightmare for zoo PR, and this time, Jerry was ready to give someone permanent PTO, because no.
So I was drinking some water. Yo, Kelly, thank you for the 10 months. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. I hope you enjoy another month of my dumbass emotes.
Why are we watching DK lore?
Not the DK look. DK is not an orangutan. All right, that's Lanky Kong, I think that's Lanky Kong. Yeah, I still need to go back and play more Donkey Kong 64.
Shot someone went through all that school in debt just to not close a furnace door. So imagine what went through Jerry's mind when the Tans got out again. But this time, there was a catch. I used to think you'd only hear this line in a movie, but nah, someone actually ran up to Jerry and said, "You gotta come see this." And he wasn't wrong. You see, in the orangutan exhibit, there was a moat, and down at the bottom of that moat was a furnace door. And sure enough, they caught one of the males, Fu Manchu, fiddling with the door. They were watching from a distance so Fu wouldn't see them, but they couldn't see exactly what Fu was doing. All they knew was suddenly the door flew open and Usain Bolt felt a disturbance as these men broke the sound barrier running down to stop them. So now the solution was simple. Clear the enclosure of anything that could be used to escape and do it daily. And sure enough, the O-ring breakouts came to an end. For about a week until it happened again.
3 weeks in a row.
Just tired.
They escaped. He said, "All right, all y'all staff members, y'all better not let these motherfuckers out there. Don't stop letting all these monkeys out. They need to be locked up." And then you know what happened the next week? They got out. "What I tell you about these monkeys? Lock them up." And then they just escaped the next week. They went a whole month. They went a whole month with these orangutan escaping. Like, what the hell? What a sentence to walk into with the pixel. Look, I'm just saying that old ass white man they showed earlier was yelling at his staff members saying that.
Remember, he was a zoo director, and these Mandarin menaces were monopolizing his life. And it was while perp-walking Fu Manchu, who just had to have the biggest eating grin. Jerry noticed a glimmer out the corner of his mouth. He pulls it out, and it all becomes clear. Out was a 4-inch piece of wire bent like a horseshoe that Fu Manchu had stashed between his lower lip and gum. The very hairy Houdini had been using it as a lockpick for weeks and hiding it in his old wallet. No one taught.
That's so crazy. He was hiding the lockpick the whole month. They got back in there. He was like, "Hey, he hit up the other ranks and he said, "Hey, guess what I got?" He opened his mouth. They're like, "Hey," and they all just escaped. And then they all got locked up again. They're like, "Damn, we got caught again." But guess what? I still got, and they went back out again. And then the third time, they're like, "Guess what? I still got, and then they finally found it. That is hilarious.
Fu, not only did he orchestrate his own emancipation, he had the foresight to realize he couldn't have the key out around keepers or else it'd get confiscated. Fu Manchu would be named an honorary member of the Locksmith Union of the United States, and Jerry Stone would go on to work with several other interesting apes, including a gorilla named Harambe. Fu Manchu wouldn't be the last, or arguably the most creative. 27-year-old Carta used a stick to short-circuit an electric wire, and then used a bunch of sticks as a ladder to climb out her enclosure. She then just sat and enjoyed the view for 30 minutes until her keepers pulled up with tranquilizers, at which point she just went back in. Last year, Kimberly broke out of an $11 million habitat in Toronto.
They was chilling
past a wire barrier. Mind you, that habitat opened up the summer before. Bro flexed on them 11 million ways. The important thing is, in none of these cases do you see an orang get out with malicious intent. Most times they just cosplay as people. But what if one did have beef and use his powers for malfeasance? This is Ken Allen. It's the most famous name in orangutan lore, and you wouldn't even know the name if his mother Maggie had succeeded in smothering him before he even got it. He'd be named after the two zoo officials that would raise him instead, Ken Willingham and Ben Allen. As a baby, he'd soft launch his shenanigans by regularly unscrewing the bolts of his crib and dismantling it. And once he got too big for a crib, keeper Joanne Thomas would take him around the zoo in a stroller. A decision that arguably cost the zoo thousands. 5 days after moving into his new enclosure, June 13, 1985, Ken climbed a wall and got out. Years before, folks caught Ken building a DIY ladder out of some branches. One thing I didn't mention is living in the trees full time means orangutans literally make their beds every single night. Up to 20,000 in a life. Clearly the craftsmanship carries on. Ken Allen spent his freedom wandering the zoo, taking pictures with patrons, before getting escorted back. Not a great thing to happen, but no one got hurt, the wall he scaled got extended, and surely this wouldn't happen again. July 29th of that year, Ken found a way out again, but this time, his intentions weren't pure. You see, there was another orang, Otis. Ken did not like Otis. Ken hated Otis. He hated him so much that they actually had to be separated because orangs might be an endangered species, but as long as they were roommates, Otis was an endangered individual. So when Ken escaped a second time, he went straight for Otis's corner and chucked rocks at him. That premeditated stoning put him in solitary confinement, but I'm sure Ken will tell you it was worth it. But the reason for the beef might have been jealousy. Otis was the breeding star of San Diego, with nearly 10 kids and 3 wives. Ken hated him as a concept.
Dang, Otis was hitting that shit raw across the board, and Ken didn't like that. He said, "I want some too." So he got jealous, started throwing rocks at him.
Zoo gave him 4. And of course that backfired, when Ken started teaching them how to disrespect infrastructure too. One day, someone left a crowbar in the enclosure, and instead of using it while everyone watched, he just tossed it aside, like he didn't even care. An actual orang move, except he threw it to a female named Vicky, and she used it to pry open a window and free them both. Also, Otis wasn't the only victim. Apparently, he took offense to a TV crew filming a documentary on gorillas and pelted them with rocks, until he ran out of rocks and started using cannonballs from his colon. Ken was so crafty.
I was about to say, he just likes throwing rocks, but when he ran out of rocks, he started throwing turds. Yo, thank you for the follow. Strawberry opening Scufffield. Hope you find it cozy comfy here. Bro said, "I may be out of rocks, but I'm not out of options." It started shitting.
Boys would only have a chance of studying him if they dressed like regular guests, cause Ken would never incriminate himself if someone in uniform was around. Ken would break out a few more times, never hurting anyone, except Otis. He did once approach a child and mumble, "No one will ever believe you," before walking away, and if you doubt that, your disbelief makes his legacy stronger. His legacy was he cost the zoo over $40,000 in zoo enhancements, undercover surveillance, electric wiring, and even hired rock climbers to find every possible finger, foot, and toe hold. But he likely made that back and more, with all the PR Ken Allen brought to the zoo, just by being himself. But except for Otis, who, let's be real, must have done something to deserve it, Ken Allen never used his intellect to inflict violence. Bro just wanted a vibe. But what could an orang with a human grudge do? There's a story of an orangutan actor hating his trainer and waiting until the two were alone up in a tree, where Pierre strangled his human op and threw him to the ground. But the only proof is the obscure article I couldn't
What
find.
is this? Nope? Wasn't that Nope where the monkey started killing people? Started killing people on the TV show? Oh nah. What's good, Strawberry? Welcome in. Happy Monday. I hope you're doing well. What the hell? Is this real? Yeah, I guess so. Vienna Pierre, an orangutan trained for moving picture work, nursed his hatred for a brutal trainer until one day when they were high in a tree, then it strangled the trainer and threw his body to the ground. Golly. But yeah, this is like freaking the movie Nope, where the monkey started killing all the TV show characters.
The source for it. Plus, Pierre was probably in the right. Now, Joe's revenge was more than just a story. Joe was an orangutan that appeared in over 100 movies by 1919. This was a time where there were no laws against capturing, selling, and even killing wild orangutans. Universal Studios would take full advantage, and as cute as he was as a toddler, things changed once he became a teen. There would be several incidents with Joe, including a lawsuit where a security guard claimed Joe had mauled him with over 40 bites. There was another time he escaped, and when police pulled up to catch him, Joe stole an officer's gun.
What the hell?
But the most infamous case was Joe breaking out of the Universal Zoo, serving straight chaos for 3 days, and even releasing 15 wolves and his elephant friend Charlie on the way out. But Joe
just letting everybody out.
Not only did he never attack women or children, he'd often defend them. One scene had an actor pretend to spank a child, but because Joe don't play pretend with the little ones, the orang went O-line and leveled the guy. Another scene had Joe's character help rob a lady, but when good guy Joe saw the villain looming over her, Joe folded his clothes, with him in them. By 1924, Joe was retired from show business after being deemed too dangerous to work with. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, it's Team Joe over here. But there's an
maybe they was the blueprint for no.
So dark that I'ma just drop this. Here's an ad while you consider your options. Birute Galdeques is a primatologist and one of the leading experts on orangutans, and in the 70s, she arrived at Camp Liki in Tanjung Putin National Park, where she was immediately warned by native Indonesians that some male orangutans can find humans attractive and occasionally physically and forcefully act on it. She didn't believe it until a male walked into camp one day and violated a female cook, and even multiple people trying to wrestle him off couldn't stop the salacious onslaught. It's now advised that menstruating women either avoid orangs or walk around with a club. So as you can see, orangutans are capable.
They moving like the dolphins.
From zoo escapes all the way to premeditated census layouts.
Oh my god!
But honestly,
this evil ass orangutan. What the fuck? What's good, VV? Welcome, man. Oh my god. They going crazy like the dolphins. These evil ass monkeys. Yeah, this is a devious ass face.
They could and should be way worse. And
it's crazy too because the Indonesians literally warned her like, hey, these orangutan over here, they'll go crazy. They're fucking. Don't go up in there. And then she went in there anyways. Like, that is crazy. Like, what kind of zoo is this? Yeah, that people don't be listening. They just be taking shit for granted. I don't understand that. If they warning you, that's for the good reason.
Has never been on record murking a man, and some have had very good reasons. Joe Martin had every good reason, and the fact that he died with no body says more about his kind. The strong mom bond means Joe's mom was almost certainly destroyed for him to be taken. Joe suffered all manners of neglect, including electrical burns from wires, eye damage from the constant stage lights. He was given cigars and alcohol which ruined his health, and he was even knocked out by former heavyweight James Jeffries. All without never really interacting with another orang. Joe going through all that and never severely maiming someone is our entire relationship with orangs in a nutshell. We have done far more to them than for them, in worse ways than you think.
Yeah.
I can't even say what this one went through. Just know her name is Pony and her story is not for the weak. Orangutans as a whole are a victim of humanity, and the worst part is what happens when they're gone.
Hope the orangutan, after being hit with air rifle 74 times, blinding her. Like, gee, like, honestly, I mean, not just orangutan, but like, you know, the whole zoo situation for animals is really fucked. Like, man, you won't catch me stepping a single toe inside that zoo. Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy how mistreated these animals get. Zoos are weird. Yeah. It's especially weird when you like know that it's an endangered species and you see it in a zoo. It's like,
gone. Once all the orangs in an area are gone, all the generational knowledge of how to live there dies with them. It's not just a species, it's an entire culture that goes extinct with no way of bringing it back. So what can you on your phone, computer, or TV do? One is obviously support an organization that helps with research and rehabilitation, which is why I'll be donating to Orangutan Foundation International, founded by Galdekis herself. Link down below if you'd like to as well. Also, never support a place that uses orangutans as tourist traps. Any place that lets you pay to play with an orangutan is a huge red flag. But probably the best way is to avoid palm oil. Palm oil is the leading cause of their extinction, and it's in 50% of household products in the West. It's a commitment, but it's looking like we either give up the oil or negotiate the red ape's existence. The choice is yours, just know the orangutans would probably do the same for us. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. But first, I want to thank y'all. If you remember my elephant sanctuary video, then you know that the park actually flooded a month after I visited.
Oh wow!
That cost 2 rescued elephants.
I still need to check out.
You guys came
I still need to check out his older videos.
Tyler was so grateful, they actually made a cake with my name and gave it to the elephants. And seeing my favorite animals eating out of my namesake,
they got
cake would have been impossible
a watermelon
so
vegetable cake.
Hopefully one day I can do the same for Camp Leaky. But until then, drink water, hug your mother. If an orangutan hits you, apologize, because you deserved it. And I'ma see y'all.
You deserved it. All right, neat little video. Neat little video. I like that it does donate. Yeah, because I mean these videos do very well. This video only been out 3 days and he's already got 1 million views on it. Like, his videos do very well and he does his research and stuff, so you know, props to him. So it's cool that he's able to like not only do this but you know be able to support the animals that he's talking about and stuff is really neat. So pretty cool.